A graduate assistant is placed on leave after giving a student a 0. Why the student is filing a discrimination claim. Oklahoma Highway Patrol says road conditions have caused hundreds of accidents. What you can do to stay safe heading into the winter season.
And the good news is the snow and wintry mix from this morning has pushed off to the east, so we are dry here in Norman, but more is coming with the forecast. I'll give you all the details. This is OU Nightly. The University of Oklahoma places a graduate assistant on leave after a junior claims she received a failing grade on an essay for citing the Bible. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Emma McAndrews.
And I'm Kevin Daniel. OU Nightly's Julia Roberts is live outside Evans Hall with what the university has to say. Julia?
Kevin, a graduate assistant, was placed on leave following an investigation into a discrimination claim filed by a psychology student. Samantha Fonecki received a 0 on an essay covering, quote, how people are perceived based on societal expectation of gender. She cited the Bible throughout her essay, and the GA grading her work said they weren't deducting points because of the student's belief, but because she relied more on personal ideology over empirical evidence. The university put out a statement yesterday on X saying they take concerns involving First Amendment rights seriously, and once they received notice from Fonecki, they acted quickly to address the situation. Now, OU says they are committed to ensuring fairness during this process, so a full-time professor has taken over the course for the rest of the semester. Reporting live outside of Evans Hall, I'm Julia Roberts, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Julia. Governor Kevin Stitt acknowledged the religious discrimination investigation on OU's campus, saying the situation at OU is deeply concerning. I'm calling on the OU regents to review the results of the investigation and ensure other students aren't unfairly penalized for their beliefs. The OU Board of Regents has not responded to his call for action. Now, this weather, Kevin, has been pretty chilly. I stepped outside and I was quite
I know, and
big
it led to some pretty dangerous roads this morning for people making their commute. We'll head over to OU Nightly meteorologist Aiden Bruns. Aiden, just tell us about this morning.
Yeah, Kevin, there were plenty of car accidents throughout the metro, and I know that traffic was really slow, but the good news is satellite and radar is showing us that that wintry mix has pushed off to the east. So here in Norman and the rest of Oklahoma, it's pretty much, we're dry. We've got a few clouds, but that is the good news. What's coming next is just we've got to deal with this cold weather for a little bit. We're currently sitting at 34 degrees here in Norman. The metro and the entire state seeing those really chilly temperatures, just a degree above freezing in some areas. Otherwise, we are below 32. But coming up in the full forecast, we'll talk about a November recap and how warm it was, but we do have some above average temperatures coming up with this week, but a cold front can make a difference for that.
Thanks, Aiden. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol released some driver safety tips in response to multiple crashes in between midnight and 9 this morning. OHP says to check your tires, clean windshields, mirrors, and windows, stay buckled, drive with extra caution, do not brake fast or depend on cruise control, and keep 6 to 10 seconds of following distance from the car in front of you. So far, there have been 2 fatal crashes, 101 injury-related crashes, 225 non-injury crashes, and 21 motorist assists.
Next, a National Guard member is fighting for his life after a shooting near the White House earlier this week. OU Nightly's Caroline Kramer has that and the rest of today's national headlines from the News Center.
Yes, Emma, the White House is responding after 2 National Guard members were shot in Washington, D.C. last week. Officials say Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom has died due to her injuries during the shooting, and Andrew Wolf survived the attack but remains hospitalized in critical condition.
Sarah and Andrew represent the very best of America. 2 young patriots who were willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives in defense of their fellow Americans.
Officials say Wolf is showing positive signs of recovery, even giving a thumbs up to a nurse. Opening statements begin today in the case against Brian Walsh. Walsh is accused of killing and dismembering his wife, Anna Walsh, in 2023. Earlier this month, Walsh pleaded guilty to willfully conveying a human body in a violation of state law and misleading police. His trial is expected to last several weeks. Luigi Mangione appears in a New York courtroom today for a pretrial hearing. Mangione is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on December 4th of last year. During today's hearing, Mangione's attorneys will ask to have his diary entries and other key evidence tossed from the state's case. Mangione is facing 9 charges, including murder, and could possibly face the death penalty. And in some brighter news, First Lady Melania Trump and Second Lady Usha Vance hosted U.S. military spouses at Joint Base Andrews to create a care package for deployed service members. Emma, Kevin.
Thanks, Caroline. Black Friday drew in crowds in person and online due to some big deals.
Hear how just how much shoppers spent on this year's holiday deals.
And no real ID, no problem.
The TSA has a new option for those traveling without one. Coming up. The TSA announces a new option for travelers flying without a physical ID. Passengers can pay a $45 fee to use an alternative identity verification system for 10 days. It's called TSA Confirm ID. It would temporarily serve as official identification for those missing their DMV-given ID. Other authorized forms of ID include a passport or DHS Trusted Traveler Card. The new TSA Confirm ID option will be available starting February 1st of next year.
Next, Black Friday shoppers are breaking records this year. Over $11 billion was spent online shopping Friday. Madison Dealey has that and more ways to save in today's Money Matters.
You're right, Emma. Black Friday shoppers broke records this year buying online. According to Adobe Analytics, $11.8 billion was spent through online shopping Friday. Comparing to last year's numbers, that's a 9.1% increase. Adobe says the increase of online shopping is due to this year's discounts. And after a rush of Black Friday, consumers can also find deals at Christmas tree farms. According to the Real Christmas Tree Board, 84% of tree growers are not changing.
Sorry for those technical difficulties. We'll continue with the next story when we come back right here. According to, excuse us, and after the rush of Black Friday, consumers can also find deals at Christmas tree farms. According to Real Christmas Tree Board, 84% of tree growers are not changing their prices this year. Experts say 80% of artificial Christmas trees are imported from China, causing prices to soar from tariffs. Despite tough growing seasons, tree farmers say it's the tradition that matters, not the price tag. And a weight loss drug known as Zepbound is also slashing its prices. According to the drug maker Eli Lilly, the drug costs less when brought directly from the company. The price cuts range from $50 to $100. Company officials say this move will help the cost and coverage barriers. Gas prices are below $3 per gallon the first time since 2021. According to Gas Buddy, several stations in Oklahoma, Colorado, and Texas are seeing prices as low as $1.95 per gallon.
Next, U.S. shoppers are expected to spend more than $14 billion online today, according to Adobe Analytics. CNN's Michael Yoshida explains how tariffs and inflation will affect the holiday shopping season.
U.S. consumers spent $11.8 billion online this Black Friday, with an estimated $14.2 billion more expected to be spent Cyber Monday, according to Adobe Analytics.
This 5-day period from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday is significant for retailers.
Money going into online shopping carts could reach new heights this year, but consumer experts warn people might actually be buying less. And the high dollar numbers are largely due to the impact of tariffs and higher prices from inflation.
What's happening is that the number of items purchased is actually down, but prices are higher. Average selling prices are higher. So we are seeing the increase in spending due to that inflation.
National consumer expert Claudia Lombana says who is spending their money is another key thing to pay attention to.
The ones that have higher income are spending at will, but those who are less affluent are budgeting.
Some argue it's part of the so-called K-shaped economy.
They're talking about that funny looking capital letter. You know, there's the bit that stands up and there's a bit that goes up and a bit that goes down.
With higher earners getting a boost from stock market investments and home valuation, while lower earners are increasingly living paycheck to paycheck.
Those who are already financially very well off, their economy is going pretty well for them. Those who are less well off, working and middle class Americans, they're the lower part of that K and maybe their economy is pointing south.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
As the weather gets colder, frozen pipes are more and more of a threat.
We'll how you can keep your pipe safe in dangerously cold conditions.
And Oklahoma is known for many weather roller coasters, so are you going to need to keep the jacket and warm winter gear around after today? I'll let you know in the full forecast after the break. Well, welcome back to OU Nightly and happy Monday and the 1st of December. Here we are, and it has been a chilly one looking outside. Gloomy conditions and cold temperatures. We're sitting at 34 degrees right now here in Norman. We don't have too much of a wind chill, but it still feels like 24 degrees out there. So lots of people are bundling up all day long. I had my big winter jacket and a hat on as I was walking to class, and I'm sure many people are trying to stay warm. But looking at November, we're on the 1st of December. So now we see how warm November was, many days above average. That's all those orange boxes on there. We had a few record-breaking days in the 80s for November, so very above average. And what it's looking like as we head into the first week of December is slightly above average. We're here in the orange and yellow, so on the cusp of right around normal, but it is expected to be a little bit warmer this week, so the 30s won't stick around too much longer for this week at least. As for this evening, though, we are still going to be cooling down pretty quickly into the 20s with a wind chill of 24 degrees right now. I'm expecting wind chills are going to be cooler this evening too, so definitely plan for that if you are going to be outside tonight. But lows across the state, lots of 20s, 19 up in Enid. Average for this time of year, 33 degrees in Oklahoma City. So we are on that very chilly side so far, but again, like I said, we are expecting to warm up. As we see into tomorrow, we are going to get into the 50s, so much warmer than we were today, but you're still going to have to make sure you're prepared for the cold, especially if you're heading out the door early for maybe a 9 a.m. class, because we are going to be in the 30s, feeling right around below that freezing level. So definitely keep that in mind for these temperatures. Highs across the state, though, will again stay pretty warm in the 50s. This is much more around average, 54 degrees for Oklahoma City. So this is where that warming trend starts to pick up as we go into tomorrow. But looking at our national forecast, the snow and wintry mix from today has pushed off to the east. So we are staying pretty dry. And as we head into the next couple of days, we are looking at a cold front coming through, which is going to make a difference with these temperatures later this week. We're looking at Wednesday morning and into the afternoon, so we stay dry. As for that cold front, it's not really going to affect conditions here in Norman too much besides the temperatures, but clouds roll in. There is a chance for some wintry mix and snow out in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma, but here in Norman, we aren't expecting too much with that. As for your 7-day forecast, though, the 50s stick around. We see that cold front dipping us back into the 30s for highs on Thursday. Friday, we warm back up again. We're getting closer to the 50s, but cooler temperatures overnight for sure, guys. How are we feeling? Because we're back from Thanksgiving. It's cold, right?
I had to dig through the back of my closet to get my coat because it was so cold outside.
Yes, you need the hat and the jacket for sure. And with the cold front coming in on Wednesday, overnight temperatures will consistently be below freezing. I spoke to a local plumbing company on how to prevent your pipes from freezing this winter. It doesn't take much for weather in Oklahoma to go from fall and summer-like temperatures to a hard freeze. And when that happens, the consequences can be disastrous. Every year when temperatures plummet, property owners and apartment complexes send out regular reminders of what residents need to do to avoid damage from the cold. These tips include disconnecting garden hoses, keeping the thermostat around 65 degrees, and opening cabinets below sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes. Despite these warnings, plumbers at Hull Plumbing are still flooded with calls about one preventable issue: burst pipes. Plumbing technician Alex Miner shares the single most important action to take the moment you realize a pipe has burst.
Immediately, you should turn your water off. You don't want to cause more flooding than it has already happened, and that makes it easier for us to get in where it's at and fix it without having to go through mud and water and getting soaked. Turn the water off. If you don't know how to turn your water off, you can call the fire department. Fire department's really well at getting out there really quick and turning the water off for you.
For homeowners and renters, the damage isn't just costly, it's disruptive. Chloe Blackburn experienced this firsthand last winter.
During the first freeze of the season, that my whole bathroom was completely frozen over, so we couldn't turn on the shower, flush the toilet, or wash our hands.
One of Chloe's now go-to ways to avoid the pipes from freezing is dripping faucets when temperatures get below 32 degrees. Residents should also be aware that if they are living in an older home, that prevention measures are even more important with these temperatures getting below zero.
Thanks, Aiden. Coming up in sports, two former Sooner quarterbacks faced off in the NFL.
And for the second time this season, two former stars in the Crimson and Cream squared off in the NBA and almost came to blows.
Kevin, Jenny Baranczyk has done a lot for OU women's basketball, But over the weekend, she did something that she has never done before. I'll have what that is and more next in sports. Hello, I'm Chris Holman, and it's time for sports. With the chance at the college football playoffs on the line, OU football hosted LSU in Norman for the first time ever. OU Nightly sports reporter Landon Thomas has more on how the Sooners look to clinch their spot in the playoffs.
With a trip to the playoffs on the line, OU hosted LSU on Saturday. We'll pick it up here in the third quarter where Michael Van Buren finds his man Xavion Thomas to give the Tigers a 10-3 lead. John Mateer had over 300 passing yards in this game, and a big hope was Deion Burks as he takes this pass 45 yards into the end zone to up the game at 10 apiece. John Mateer wasn't done there though, as he had all day in this pocket to find his best man Isaiah Satania wide open for a 58-yard score to give the Sooners a 17-13 lead. And with the game on the line, it was Sooner defender Peyton Bowen who has this pass breakup to give the Sooners the 17-13 win. Now, with the Sooners win against the LSU Tigers, the Sooners in the regular season 10-2, virtually guaranteeing themselves a chance at the college football playoffs. But OU head football coach Brent Venables says that their best ball still hasn't been played.
You know, in some ways, there's plenty of it that wasn't good enough and could have lost the game because of the mistakes that we made in this game. But when you're good enough, you can, again, I don't think it's an act of God. When you're good enough, you can find a way to overcome it, and we did.
None of it was easy, and I think that's why I'm so appreciative of it. And nobody thought we were going to win 7 games, and here we are. We just won 10, and did a lot of things it's not a lot of teams have ever done, and it was a lot of fun. And I appreciate all these guys, but this is what I came here for.
Reporting in Norman, Landon Thomas, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Landon. Over in the NFL, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles look to send Caleb Williams and the Bears into hibernation. Williams had 154 yards and a touchdown through the air, while Hurts threw for 2 touchdowns and 230 yards. But that wasn't enough as the Bears clawed the Eagles 24-15. Baker Mayfield passed for 194 yards and a touchdown to one of his offensive linemen, helping the Buccaneers beat the Cardinals 20-17. Porter Moser's squad traveled to the Windy City to take on Marquette last Friday, where Nigel Pack scored a game-high 24 points, and Tay Davis finished with a season-high 19 points, helping the Sooners take down the Golden Eagles 75-74. And OU women's basketball took on Florida State in the Coconut Hoops Tournament Championship on Sunday, and thanks to Aaliyah Chavez's 29 points and Sahara Williams' 16 points and 14 rebounds, the Sooners took down the Seminoles 109-91 and took home the title, which is the first in-season tournament title for OU women's basketball since Jenny Baranczyk arrived in Norman. And over in the NBA, Austin Reeves and the Lakers took on Jeremiah Fears and the Pelicans. Reeves finished with 33 points and 8 assists, while Fears put up 21 points, nearly getting into a fight with Luka Doncic. The Lakers ended up coming out victorious 133-121. Emma, Kevin.
Today is December 1st, so it's time to get those holiday cards sent out and start ringing in the holiday season.
We'll have where you can get the perfect picture with Santa for your cards and some free hot cocoa to celebrate. Coming up next.
I'm Andrew Paredes at the OU Nightly Update Desk. 2 suspects accused in a fatal Norman shooting have been formally charged. According to the district attorney, Jeremy Payne faces 3 charges, while Brandy Webb faces 1. The charges stem from a botched robbery by Payne and Webb last month, and when the robbery failed, the shooting followed. The victim was struck in the head. Both remain in custody, and each are held on a $1 million bond. Emma, Kevin.
Thanks, Andrew. We've talked about it all show. It's just way too cold out there for me.
It is so cold. So, Aiden, are we going to need those jackets on standby?
I would say yes. Temperatures are going to warm up a little bit, so you're definitely going to need to layer up as you're heading out, especially earlier in the morning, but you might be able to shed a layer. You won't necessarily need the huge puffer coat, but getting into Thursday, we have that cold front coming through Wednesday, so Thursday is going to be much colder. You're definitely going to want the big jacket, and then the rest of the week, I mean, it's perfect wintry conditions, so if you want to go outside and look at some Christmas lights with the December 1st day, so that's probably what I'll be doing since the temperatures make it feel like winter.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be grabbing my coat, and you might want to grab your coat because Norman Parks and Recreation's Winterfest is returning to Main Street for its second year this Saturday. The festivities begin at 6 p.m. with the Norman Holiday Parade, starting at Norman High School on Main Street and ending at James Gardner Avenue.
The parade will conclude with the tree lighting ceremony, but it doesn't stop there. Other activities include a drone light show, free hot cocoa, live performances, food trucks, and a live reindeer and Santa Claus. All the events are free and open to the public. Now, thank you for watching OU Nightly. I'm Kevin Daniel.
And for the last time at the desk, I'm Emma McAndrews. Be sure to watch OU Nightly live weekdays at 4:30. Good night.